What is she doing? Whatever you're doing, I don't like it. Oh, God. What's up, all you best friends out there in the internet? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today we're doing something fun. Every month, our patrons get to nominate and pick and vote, essentially, on a video for me to cover, and they have chosen Ice Nine Kills, The American Nightmare. Now, I'm pretty excited about this because I've never really heard Ice Nine Kills in any serious fashion. The one time I heard them was like pre-Rona, and I was in this crowded space and somebody was like, hey, check out this band, and they put the phone up to my ear, you know how they do, and you're just like, oh, I can't hear anything, but cool, I'm this, you know, hey, neat, right? So I'm actually going to give this a solid listen now. Apparently their singer, Spencer, is incredibly talented, has an incredible range, and is obsessed with horror movies. And this band, from what I understand, takes their inspiration from old horror movies. Now, if you're new to the channel, what we do here is we take the reaction format, we break it down, we try to make it educational as possible. I myself am a vocal coach, mostly specializing in deathcore and death metal, but I always like to kind of see what else is out there as well. If you like the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon. And we do have a Patreon if you want to vote on videos as well. And if you want to hear more of my vocal performances, you can check the links down in the description below. I'm in 3 bands: Kardashev, Neverbreath, and Viremia. So patrons, without further ado, let's see what you're putting me through today. This is Ice Nine Kills, The American Nightmare. Let's go.
Getting ready for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn. David has probably never stopped to think what a wonderful thing sleep is. Dreams are normal too. Going to bed at a regular time each night makes it easier for you to go right off to sleep.
Rest your head, here's a lullaby. A melody for heavy eyes. Early to bed, early to die.
All right, it sounds like we've reached the chorus here. So already a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So first and foremost, I totally can see the horror aesthetic, right? The kind of like old 80s and, you know, earlier horror movie vibe that we're getting here. I'm getting some, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street influence, clearly. But let's go ahead and talk about the vocals. So first and foremost, a lot of different things happening. I'm liking the lead in with the fry. He's saying some phrases. Well, I'm sure he'll say it again. I don't remember the lyrics, of course, but he's got this sound at the beginning, right? And that vocal fry, right? That's a common thing. We all do it. It's a common part of speech. And then, of course, he's using that undertone for these high screams that he's doing. He's utilizing that and then projecting it. Bear in mind, and you can check out my Fit for a King video where I go really into depth into like these fry sounds. He's doing it a little bit differently. But when we project it, it's not going to feel exactly like, right? We're going to take it, oh, 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 and then from there, oh, 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 right? He's way higher than I am. But it's not going to feel exactly like that fry sound when we scream, right? We'll probably talk more about that here in a second. I'm also liking the breathiness he's putting on his voice in the beginning. Very, very intentional, very controlled breathiness at the beginning. Very, very cool. And then he got some really cool, like ascending belted notes. It sounded like he was just climbing up a scale. D, E, F, G. Yeah, 4th octave. Dum, bum, bum, bum. Let's go ahead and let's listen more. I want to go back a little bit, but let's check out more of what's going on. A lot.
Slashing my way through the golden age of the silver
That's clever. So I didn't expect this song to be as heavy in sections as it is. I'm not going to lie. I expected something completely different than what I'm hearing now. A lot of people told me the vibe of it, and they said that he's got a lot of Ronnie Radke vibes. I can see that. I think that they're distinct enough to where, I don't want to say like, oh, this guy's totally, channeling Ronnie Radke, because he's got his own unique sound, though I think stylistically we can put them in a similar category, right? We've got that bright high timbre. We've got that very forward kind of poppy masky resonance that we can hear. There's not a lot of like when he's reaching higher up in his vocal space, there's not a lot of that chesty sound, that thyroarytenoid muscle driven sound that we have. And it actually sounds like I might have been a little bit off about the way he's doing his screams. I want to listen a little bit more, but I think he's using more of a gritty belt with a lot of grit very far forward, although he's very likely doing both. I also heard some really cool false chords. Just on those lows. And these are a very open, loose false chord, which is a great thing to do, especially for layering. Let's go back and let's listen, and then we'll continue on through. And it looks like the guitarist is getting in on the vocals too, which is always so sick, right? Going up here. Nice. There was a lot of cool stuff going on there that I really want to talk about. That breakdown, totally not expecting it, but such a cool surprise. I want to talk about the screams. So now now I'm seeing why I was like, well, maybe I was off on the screams. The two of them are screaming kind of differently. The guitarist has much more of a true chord driven, like that sort of sound, way up there, way forward. When I say up there, I don't want you to think what I'm expressing is that we should take our larynx and crank it up into our neck. What I'm talking about is activating nasal and vocal space. Hey, right there. Hey, right, getting sort of that sound going. It's going to sound a lot different from person to person because it does have elements of your true voice in it, right? And so it'll have more of that like signature sound that you have, which is totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. And then the false chords they're doing here, like I mentioned, they're a much lower, looser false chord sound. Right? And they're putting that as a layered texture, probably a couple layers of that in there. Now, what I thought was really neat was the way they transitioned back into that clean chorus. I'd be really interested to see how Spencer handles this live. Not because I don't think he could. I'm sure he could. I have no doubt that he could. But it would be interesting to see how he does it. If he blends those two sounds perfectly together, if he has a little bit of a pause, I don't know. But one thing that I thought was interesting, we're going to listen to it again. Listen to how he says creeping. A lot of times when we sing, we'll say, we'll change our vowels so that they're a little bit more traditionally listenable, right? So like you don't hear Christmas carols, people saying Christmas, they say Christmas, right? Christmas. And usually often in singing, we hear people say instead of E, we say or right? But he really held on to that E, right? And that's probably stylistic because I hear him all over the place and he sounds in control wherever he is. But it really does help us as we move higher in our space, right? Especially since I mean, I don't know like what his comfort zone is, but he's definitely getting up into that fourth octave. He's bridging that F sharp G zone. That's a little intimidating for many singers. And he's doing it really, really well. And he's got a lot of his E. Let's listen to just that whole section again. And then we can talk about that and keep going. So sick. Okay, so he's actually coming off of the guitarist scream. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah, so he's hitting these D, E, F, G. When night comes creeping, right? So that E sound, that E is kind of what helps us bring it up. When night comes creeping. And he sounds great. He's a lot brighter and forward than I am in my example, because he and I have completely different voices. But his control is awesome. Let's keep going. You can hear it when he says, I'm counting bodies while you count sheep. He actually says shape. I'm counting bodies while you count shape. I wonder what the difference in it's a lower note, right? So he may have gone from A to E, right? Because the E, he's getting higher notes and it makes it easier. I don't know, but you can hear an example of that. I'm sure he'll sing it again. Actually, let's go back. Let's go back so you can hear it. You can't turn down your own. What is she doing? Whatever you're doing, I don't like it. What it? Oh God. Ooh, ending on that scream too. I don't know what she was doing with like the toaster and like the little leads, right? Looks painful. Apparently, if you watch a bunch of their music videos back to back, it makes a movie. So that might be cool to listen to. Okay, cool. So yeah, very, very different than what I normally do. But Spencer, their vocalist, or I should say their lead vocalist, because their guitar's on vocals as well. Awesome. Love his high forward, bright sort of mixy belting that he does all over the place. Love that. You can tell he's really worked a long time to relax his throat and to sort of move a lot of that chesty sound out of it when he's really high up there belting, right? And that can be a stylistic choice, but it's also kind of necessary for a lot of us, right? If we try to carry our chest voice too much up and we squeeze it, we're like pulling our chest, as I often will say it. Now, that's not to say you can't have like a chesty mix or a heady mix or things like that. These are all things that are there, but it takes a little training and a little bit of work, right? He's got it down very, very well. I love his high screams. Both of them, their screams sound great. We've got the guitarist, which has more of a true chord phonated, like true chord being your actual vocal folds. True chords are what you're hearing me use now, my vocal folds, right? You hear me using them right now. And then we have him adding distortion, adding grit from other structures as well. And then we have Spencer, who I would love to hear some of his screams isolated. Because to me, it could kind of go either way. A lot of them definitely had like this traditional like fry sound, of course. But he also sounded like he was doing more of like high vocals, like what I do, and what you hear a little bit more in like older deathcore, dare I say, where it's kind of a breathy, right? It kind of sounded like that, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, a lot of cool stuff to talk about. This was a super cool song. Not at all what I was expecting, but a pleasant surprise nonetheless. Again, if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate the time that you've set aside just to watch this video now. Feel free to check out our Patreon if you want to hang out and play games and do monthly listening parties and vote on videos as well. And as always, many thanks, much love, I'm out.